Thank you, Sean. Our next speaker tonight has known that he was meant to be a game programmer since he was 13 years old. John Kilbane in high school attended several state and national competitions in computer programming, while attending half-day vocational school that specialized in computer science. In February of last year, John began working on a gamified assessment solution aimed at getting kids excited about the one thing they hated in school: tests. Test Radar was then released at Lausanne Learning Institute in Memphis, Tennessee, a conference that focuses on one-to-one learning and technology integration. Over the past several months, John has worked with ASB and has become an advocate of the maker movement. Today, John will talk about failure and how it is essential for personal and professional growth. Please welcome John Kilbane.
Hello, I am John Kilbane, and this is my nightmare. Not this picture in any way, the act of being up here. I am unquestionably your stereotypical video game nerd. I literally searched stereotypical video game nerd, and that was the fourth picture that came up, so I'm pretty close. But what I really mean by this is that I dread social situations. I hate talking to people in one-on-one environments, so you can imagine how inside my comfort zone I am being up here, having to look at a camera with lights and all these people. Oh, thank you. But I have this kind of fear that I've imagined a lot of people have, a fear of not getting it right, a fear of messing up, or really the fear of failure. And what I'm here to talk about today is understanding the fear of failure and understanding just fear in general. And if I can't apply my own thought process to my fear of public speaking, then it really has no value. So, know that even if this attempt at public speaking goes terribly wrong and I make a complete fool of myself, if everyone leaves understanding that I will have still gained so much from that failure, then I would still have been successful. So, let's do it. All right. Hello, I'm John Kilbane, and I am a video game developer. That means I design, program, and help create video games. Growing up, I loved video games. They were the best. And I also loved all maths, and I loved physics. And when I found programming, it tied all these things together so beautifully. I was blown away. Like, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. Nothing really matters beyond this. So I followed that, and I knew that programming is what I wanted to do. So I went to college for programming, and I went to a school called Full Sail University. And what they specialize in is game development, game art, sound production, just all the things needed to come together and actually create a video game. Game development, or at Full Sail, I would go in every day and spend 8 hours a day learning what I loved, which was programming video games. We would work together with big teams of like 10 people just to create one single thing. The school was quite demanding, and it's actually very rare for someone to go from the beginning to the end of the school without ever having to retake a class. So it was something, but I was cruising through it, and I had no issues, really. Game development is a huge collaborative thing. You work with people of all disciplines. You work with artists, sound developers, producers, everything. And they all come together with the goal of, let's make a game. At Full Sail, the final 5 months of the program is what is known as the final project, where you come together with a team of 10 to 15 people, of artists, sound developers, all these things, and you work together just to make a game. That is your task. At the end of these 5 months, have a game that's fun. So 8 hours a day, me and a large group of people would go in, sit down, and we had a game idea, and we'd work on it. And we were quite happy with it, actually. But around the fourth month of 5, we realized that the game needed something more. We didn't really plan it out as much as we should have, but it needed something extra to make it a little more fun. And instead of working as a large group like we had done 4 months before that, each one of us wanted to be the one to make this fun idea. So we sat as individuals thinking up our own ideas and trying to implement them. In the end of this, the game did not improve. We basically just had a bunch of new, random, additional small features that didn't add anything to the game and really just wasted our time. We presented our game to our executive producers as we did at the end of every month, and as you could have kind of guessed, they failed us. We failed, and this was my first real failure with programming. I was destroyed. I was destroyed. I had to call both my mom and my dad that night and tell them that they're going to have to rebook the tickets that they had gotten for my graduation because I'm not graduating. I was just embarrassed. I had nothing really gained from this. I just failed and wasted the last 4 months of my life, and I was going to have to start over. So my failing team was sent back to the beginning, and we were shuffled into the new class, and new teams were selected, and new games were thought up. And I was really afraid as I started the second time, because I was afraid people would look at me and think instantly, this is one of the people that failed. We don't really want him. We want someone who's we know is going to be successful. And I had this fear that I had this black mark on me, and me and everyone from my old group were looked down upon or thought of as less because we had failed. But as we moved into the project, we found that it was the exact opposite. We weren't the failures. We were the people that knew what to expect. Everyone else looked to us as a guide. Sorry. We had gone through 4 months of this intense development cycle, and we had gained such an advantage in just knowledge. What we had gained in terms of learning how to communicate to different disciplines, learning how to set a good goal, learning to speak up in a group setting. These were all things that we had really gained. So, how bad was my failure? If I have learned all these new things and I was able to apply them to my next group, and very effectively, it made it a far better time, where going through the second time was just infinitely better. In 2011, I successfully finished that final project, and I graduated with a degree in something that I love, game programming. And I am absolutely sure that failure was a benefit to me. The things that I gained going through this degree, or the final projects twice, was invaluable. What I can apply beyond just our single group, it works for everything. So 6 months ago, working with ASB's Research and Development Department, they were talking about this maker space, or the idea of a maker movement. And what that is kids designing and creating their own projects. They choose something they want to make, and then they try and create it with the resources available. Kids working hands-on and really thinking about, how is this piece going to work with this piece? How are these things going to affect each other? And it got me extremely excited, and I thought, what would I want to make? If given the opportunity, you can make whatever you want. You can make a clothing line, you can make a car, you can make a robot, you can make whatever. What would I want to make? And as a programmer, we rarely get to work hands-on. It's usually always in this virtual space of inside the computer. So hands-on creating and tinkering was something totally new to me. And I decided that what I wanted to make was a guitar. I had seen tin box guitars before, or small wooden guitars, and it kind of interested me, and it seemed like a task that I could do. Starting off at doing this, I was alone and clueless at how to even go about this, but I was also fearless. There was no way that this guitar could turn out that I would be sad. This was going to be my project, and whether it went well or bad, I will have done something cool. So, my first attempt at creating a guitar, I used a tissue box for its base. I used cardboard for its neck, thumbtacks to hold to tune the string, and there was really only one string, because the moment I tried to add a second string, the entire box collapsed on itself from the tension. But I was so proud of my instrument. I was so proud because it was able to play one string. So I sat and I reflected. What problems were there with this? And obviously, a tissue box is probably the worst frame I could have chosen. I had many options, but it was just right there, and I said, this will go well. And it didn't. So I needed some sort of structural support. I needed to somehow figure out how I was going to rework that. So I tried again. And in my second attempt, I chose a metal lunchbox that I had cut open and laid a thick piece of plastic over and sealed, so it was like a banjo head. And I used connects, like Legos kind of, and I placed them under the neck, so it was a better support from the neck to the base, so that when the strings were set up, it wouldn't just instantly fold on itself. I was able to get to 3 strings with this instrument before I ran into any issues, but again, that I've improved it an unbelievable amount. These kind of small, informal failures where just thinking or just realizing that one string, these small, informal failures are what make making so fun. You don't fear these little things. I don't go in with a mindset of, oh, I hope my guitar doesn't only have one string, but as you're making, you're realizing and dealing with these issues. Something more popular than guitars in the makerspace are robots. And nobody really realizes that programmers have no concept of hardware most of the time. People think you work with computers, you must understand all robots, but it is actually not the case at all. That's a whole other realm. And going into hardware, it was something that interested me, but I, again, had no idea how to even begin. So I had to do a little more research and reading on electricity and motors than I did for my guitar, but I just still jumped right back into it. I learned how to make one LED light blink, and from there, my next step was, okay, let's try something I have no clue how to do. And things like a robot that can move, a car, something detecting distance. These are all things that I was so sure before I would never have been able to do, that I wouldn't even have tried. 4 months ago, I was completely clueless about computer circuits, lights, LEDs, temperature detectors. But just through the act of attempting and failing and understanding what went wrong, I have learned to become way more confident in the robotics field. I'm not like an electrical engineer of any kind, but I'm confident enough where I can sit down with a kid and they can tell me their idea, and I can say, yeah, we could probably make that together. You want a car? Yeah, no problem, man. What's great about making is you aren't led by what you think you can do. You do something just wild, and you're led more by your creativity and your interests. Failure is going to happen, and you need to understand to embrace that, to learn from that. Failure opens up the opportunity for growth and change. It is the way you go about bettering yourself. By reflecting on your failures, you can better understand what you were doing wrong, and for the next iteration, create something totally better. So, next time something's going wrong, or not as you planned, instead of freaking out or feeling embarrassed or let down, All you need to do is just sit back, reflect on it, learn from it, and grow from it. Thank you.